Manager, Schneider Electric, Greece and Cyprus. Mr. Ψωμάς has the floor. Mr. Ψωμάς, I would like to begin by saying that small electricity producing units are the patient, the big patient of a thriving market, and that is why, and especially solar panel systems, and that is why we are particularly interested in them, and we try to improve the framework because they are a very small part of the market. In Australia, for example, 1 in 4 houses has a photovoltaic system, and 1 in 2 new systems have photovoltaic systems with batteries. And also, it is not by chance that these systems have had a total share of Australia's energy production equal to 34%. In Greece, despite the fact that 6 years have gone by, we have had a lot of adventures, a lot of problems, and due to this we had a small progress, only 150 megawatts, 90% of which are bigger size systems, and only 10% of them concern houses. Knowing and recognizing this problem, the Ministry of Energy we have taken measures to correct these difficulties. First of all, the maximum power of the systems increases from 30% of the agreed power to 100% for all systems. This means that installed power can be increased by 100%. The maximum power in the installed network also on the island of Crete is changes to 3 megawatts from 1 megawatt for the interconnected, and 500 kilowatts for Crete, which of course created a lot of problems, and this ministerial decision also takes care of one aspect of the current directive, which concerns offsetting following a simple notification. Then we have this, of course, for systems up to 50 kilowatts, which of course enables the interconnection of smaller systems. So a simple notification is enough for the interconnection of energy offsetting stations with the network. And also stations up to 50 kilowatts will not need special permits. Let us now begin with an example from the household sector, and using the C1 tariff of the PVC. I don't think I need to analyze these numbers. The only thing I would like to say is that they are based on the current wholesale power price, which is 210 euros per megawatt hour. Using the assumption, and thank God this is on an assumption, that this price remains stable for 1 year. As you know, there is an adjustment clause in the tariffs, which is activated when the price goes above a limit. So the consumption of 500 kilowatt hours per year would lead to a bill of approximately 1,000 euros, and if these prices remain stable for 1 year, the consumer would be called to pay more than 35 euros per kilowatt hour. If this consumer, however, had a small production system of approximately 35 kilowatts, you would not pay for more than 7 euros per kilowatt hour, which would mean that there would be huge savings, and of course the system would be offset in very little time. But this, of course, is only a fictive scenario. Let us go to a more realistic scenario where the wholesale price returns to something like 15 euros per megawatt hour, which is realistic for a 25-year scenario of an offset contract. In this case, we have 16.5 euros per kilowatt hour for a simple consumer, based on the new policy implemented by the PPC, and of course with similar prices, similar tariffs to the rest of the consumers. In this case, the offset prices, that is the savings for a consumer that uses solar panels, is 11 cents per kilowatt hour, and this in practice will be explained later. A professional consumer charged or according to tariff C2 of the PPC would be called to pay an offset price of approximately similar to that of a household consumer. So an annual consumption of 5,000 kilowatt hours, a solar panel producing approximately 3.3 kilowatts, the indicative cost of investment would be 5,000 euros. Own capital invested also 5,000, and indicative price of offset would be approximately 0.119 euros per kilowatt hour, and in 25 years he would save more than 15,000 euros. Even for such a small system, therefore, the numbers are favorable. But the question is then, why self-production does not progress? The answer is that in addition to the problems caused by the pandemic, we have had other difficulties that have actually kept us back. Let us hope that with time, and rather sooner than later, we will have, let's say, more progress in that. In the case of professional self-producers, we have here an example of 60,000 kilowatt hours consumption. The solar panel only produces 20 kilowatts. Naturally, we could include a double that production, but we consider that this company does not want to invest more money. So we have a conservative approach to solar panel use. The indicative cost is 16.5 thousand euros. We have a loan of 11% 7,5,000 euros. The duration of the loan is 60 months, and we can see here that the loan can be repaid very soon, and a profit is to be made also, which of course explains why professional installations dominate the market. Here you see the financial benefit for a household self-producer with storage, and you see the storage capacity is approximately 5 kilowatts. Why do we need that? This of course helps increase the offset price, that is the money that is saved by a small producer. So as you see, with the battery we have a rate of savings at 72% compared to 25% before, and of course an almost full coverage of the needs of this self-producer. So this project has an IRR of 5.4%. Naturally it is small, and it is smaller than an IRR without battery. The thing is, one wonders whether this money is invested elsewhere. What would they bring? Well, a bank account or another type of investment would not bring as much money. This might sound surprising, but it is quite true. The thing is that within 5 years, 25 years, excuse me, the producer might need to change batteries for at least once, or maybe even twice. The cost, therefore, of production is 12 to 13 cents, certainly less than the cost of purchase of energy. And even in the case of having to change a battery twice during the 25 years, the cost is lower. However, it is quite difficult for small investors to invest in that, because, well, they are afraid, they are thinking of the 14 years required to offset the investments, etc. So, what needs to be done to improve this picture? Irrespective of the of the outcomes and of the returns, IRR are not very popular. What they actually what consumers actually care for are the savings, the money they actually put back in their pockets. So what we suggest is to finally stop charging self-producers for actually the utility companies for the amount of power that they actually produce themselves. They should be charged only for the amount of electricity that they actually absorb from the network. The second and even more important measure is to adopt an incentive model, and a fiscal incentive model similar to that implemented by Italy. The so-called super bonus is a fiscal, let's say, system of benefits recently introduced in Italy that increases the amount of tax deductions at one 0% for specific eligible expenses to be paid between the 1st of July 2020 and the 31st of December 2021. This deduction can also be transferred to the installer of the system. So if the producer does not have the possibility to pay for this money, he can actually transfer the bonus to the installer, and the installer can then install the money at his expense and pocket the super bonus. The result was a very fast increase in the number of self-production units, and we hope that a similar system in Greece could very fast increase the number of self-producing units that is very